Sorry, I misunderstood you. Did you say that you're going to then enter into the OMS system before it then spills into Oasis?
Yeah, you're executing that ticket in the OMS.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So executing ticket in OMS, and then you're obviously going to do the matching process through the Omgeo platform.
Yeah. And when you asked, is there any way to improve that process? I mean, any other ticket, you get an acknowledge. So you would route a ticket like let's say it's a normal trade, not an IPO. You route a ticket, buy 300 million shares to Morgan Stanley. They send an acknowledgement, an electronic acknowledgement, and that means that all of the variables are matched. We're told them to buy 200,000, they accept it, and 300 million, and then they accept it and it acknowledges. So I know the trader has a comfort level that we're all on the same page about what we're trying to accomplish. And then as your fills come in, so you bought the first 50,000, it's updating in your system. You bought 50,000 at $9.90. You bought 200,000. $9.93, whatever, and you're getting this constant update of your average price and the shares.
Yep.
And then at the end, they put a DN, a done on the ticket, and then you just hit execute, and it goes, it calculates the commission, it calculates the settlement date, and allocates. Sure,
but what I was talking about, that would be kind of normal, a trade in the secondary market. Generally, when you do the, you're doing participating in an issuance, it's going to be one price.
Is because the system doesn't know it's an IPO or a secondary.
So you just put in then one price for that, or?
Well, it would put in, no, it's more on the commission and the settlement date. So oftentimes the settlement dates for IPOs are not T+2, which are normal, is the normal settlement. And again, what I spoke of earlier, there's no commission on IPOs, and generally not on secondaries. Sometimes on a spot secondary, it can be treated just like it can be treated as a commission, but assume for the sake of argument, it's a marketed deal. Yep. So Pfizer or some other big company is on the road for 3 days and they're raising money. That is also going to be a non-commission trade, and the trader has to change the exchange code. On our system, it was tagged. So if it was a New York Stock Exchange stock, it says NY. It helps you calculate the commission. If it's a NASDAQ stock, it's tagged as OTC. Also, with a different commission schedule. For IPOs and secondaries, we had NS, which is called new security, and that would default to a zero commission.
Got it. Okay. So you're tricking your system into basically viewing it as a normal trade, and it just is it's a new issue. So it's a new security.
Right.
On that side, and so. Is there any way, if you were to kind of be on a platform like a Dealogic or an iPrio, and the allocation comes through and immediately flows into your OMS, right, and does all that, and then immediately from there, I guess it would go on to Omgeo. Is there potential there to avoid errors?
I think you could. You would just have to make sure that when it came from Dealogic, for instance, it was somehow flagged as an IPO, and that was read properly on your end to not do a commission.
Yeah. No, clearly understand that the interoperability has to be the layer has to be clear. Good. Looking ahead at this, do you see? What I'm hearing from you is we're not going to probably see auctions in the future as the main way to do this. You're going to probably always need to talk to somebody to get color, so that even if you were to automate and improve the straight-through processing aspect of this endeavor, you're going to always need to have that color, and that will never change according to you.
I wouldn't invest in any of these deals without a good without a substantial conversation about the shape of the book, no.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it would be different on the fixed income side, that it becomes a little bit more relevant then?
Again, it's hard for me to speak to that
Sure.
because I've never gone through a FIC book build. But when we did it for convertible bonds, it was very much the same process. I mean, you really needed to be on the phone with someone you trusted to give you accurate information.
Fair enough. Now, how about?
Remember, it's that individual's reputation on the line. If Duran calls me from Mackenzie and says this deal's in great shape, I've seen the book, it's very, very high quality. With the feedback we're getting is that at 10 times EV to EBITDA, it's got a great runway, and the pipeline looks good, and the management team is getting really, really good feedback. Like that gives you a sense of comfort that the deal should trade well, meaning it's either going to hold deal price or trade up.
Right.
You're telling me that. I'm relying on the relationship that I have with Duran and with the way Duran represents Mackenzie and Mackenzie's reputation. And if you give me 1 million shares of that stock at 10 and it opens up at $9 and trades to 8.5, Duran and Mackenzie are going to have a problem with us.
We're going to be put in the penalty box. I get it. No, it makes perfect sense on that side. Do you think that the buy side would still be open to a workflow platform, irrespective of the fact that you still need to have that color? Do you think that there is an opportunity? And would the buy side even pay for it, or would they expect the sell side to actually pay for it?
I don't know what the business case is for the buy side, because it's a process that even for a large institution is just not that cumbersome.
Okay. That's fair. That's a very fair point. What's your view on the the future of issuance in both the initial markets and then obviously the follow-ons? Are you sanguine about it? Do you think that it peaked a while ago and now we're kind of going to be in a flattish state?
No, I mean, I think isn't this year shaping up to be like one of the busiest M&A years in like the last 10?
Yeah, there is a lot of M&A definitely going on. The tax reform has probably helped to feed the beast, if you will. Question: does that translate into more offerings? So do you believe that there are going to be a lot of follow-on offerings as a result of this M&A activity to fund?
Two things are going on. I think you'll see bigger deals in the secondary market. Mm-hmm. And I think you'll see less IPOs and listing in the primary market, which has been the trend, right? I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think there's something like a third less listed companies now than there was like 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Absolutely, and like 46% less than 20 years ago. Absolutely.
Right. So what's the catalyst for that? The catalyst for that is smart guys like people at Mackenzie have a lot of firepower, and they can go out and build these private placement deals themselves and not list and avoid all of the regulatory scrutiny, excess cost of auditing, all of those extra cumbersome things that came on, frankly, as a result of the 2009 crash, that are cumbersome to running a business. Mm-hmm. Okay? And if there's the system is awash with liquidity, the only reason you need to bring an IPO is to raise money to either expand your business or do a harvest or whatever. And if there's plenty of money out there in the private market where it's easier to get, then I think less the trend is less for less IPOs.
Got it. And so you'll see the primary activity will be in the secondary issuance market.
That's what I'd say.
And do you think that you have tax reform, so that could be helping to fund some of the M&A activity, but ultimately, you would think that with that M&A activity, it could reduce the number of listed companies out there, which will result in bigger firms. The firms are getting bigger and probably bigger deals, but not necessarily the number of deals going up.
I would agree with that math, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be it. But no, this has been very, very helpful, Greg. Really appreciate it. Angela, any other questions?
No, I think this is very interesting. Thank you.
Excellent. Greg, if we have any follow-up questions, could we reach out?
Of course, Durant. It's been really nice making your acquaintance, and I hope I was helpful. Yeah, if you have any other questions, definitely give me a ring.
Fantastic. Have a great weekend, Greg.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye.